So my name is Gavin McCormick, and I am a co-founder of a tech startup. We make IoT software. So we all know what's supposed to happen next at a regular conference. I'm supposed to stand up here and say, my issue is really important. Climate change is a really big deal. It is a really big deal. We know that many people right now are really hurting in places like Puerto Rico, for example, from storms. And then I'm supposed to segue to how my technology is really impressive, and my organization, WattTime, is the greatest. Here's the flaw with that. I'm talking on a stage where I've just seen some of the most amazing organizations I've ever heard of in my life. I'm not going to stand here and say that WattTime deserves all of your attention on the same stage where I just saw Raheem AI do some of the most amazing things I've ever seen. The difference between our sector and the rest of the tech sector is that we live in an ecosystem where any other organization's success is our success. The whole point of a company isn't to make money. The whole point of a company is that you make money, and somebody else making money doesn't work. That fundamentally does not apply in our field. We work so hard as tech nonprofits. Shannon likes to say that a lot of the tech nonprofits are really hard because we have all the disadvantages of tech startups and all the disadvantages and challenges of nonprofits. But I'd like to respectfully disagree. We have a secret weapon, which is that as tech nonprofits, I don't have to care whether I save someone's life or someone else saves someone's life. All I care about is that an issue like climate change gets solved. And the more we've thought as an organization, WattTime, about this, the more we've started to realize that this has more profound implications to how we operate than we realized at the beginning. So let's take one of our core products, for example. This is an off-the-shelf Belkin Wemo, got it from Home Depot. This is a regular IoT device. There are 26 billion devices like this worldwide. You can have everything from your phone to your electric car to your smart thermostat operating technology like this. WattTime invented two-line code software plugin that this company can install across their entire fleet to cut the carbon footprint of every device they operate in a matter of hours. Millions of devices suddenly are greener. They're running on surplus renewable energy. We changed the timing by telling them what time can they get free clean power. And what that allows them to do is to suddenly have a form of sustainability that operates at an impact level and speed and scale that hasn't been seen before in our field. Our latest product has a 4 gigaton impact potential. To put that in context, if we see 100% market adoption of this technology, that will have more impact by itself than all environmentalism in the United States in history combined. It is a crazy, crazy technology. So what's supposed to happen next is I'm supposed to say, like, you can buy this from WattTime. If you're a CSR manager, like, come buy this from our company. If you're a foundation, give us lots of money. But here's the thing. I don't actually care if you give it to WattTime or you give it to any of our competitors. Energy Web Foundation is this awesome group out of Switzerland. We have helped them deploy this technology. We gave them our IP, we showed them how the market works, and they are now able to do it just as well as we are. We helped SA Breeze and Microsoft do the same thing. That's right, don't give money to my nonprofit, give money to Microsoft. They write really good code. It is now possible, because of this, for us to operate in a manner that we never could as a regular tech startup. We started thinking about this when we realized that our technology could be profitable, and we had to choose, are we going to be a for-profit company, or are we going to be a nonprofit? Tiana Epps-Johnson said something fascinating yesterday that really stuck with me. There's so many examples of clever ideas that don't really work because someone hasn't thought through enough of the details, and we so often have I'm mangling her words, but we have a new organization coming to the field with kind of an old idea and a twist. And she recommended that what we do in the rest of the tech sector is to look at the field, survey the field, and see how you're different. I would like to say, what would the world look like if instead of every new founder tackling a new problem and saying, how am I different from the competition, what if we all worked together? What if every time you had an idea and you said, you know what, this isn't different than the other startup across the street, what if you joined forces? How different would the world be if at the hackathon we were founded, we teamed up with the team next to us that had a really similar technology, and instead of worrying about who is going to get the equity, because we're both nonprofits, we said, we're going to do this together. How different would that world be? WattTime is starting to find out. I am so excited, and this was not our idea, about what happened the day after Trump got elected. The day after Trump got elected, A lot of people at some of the nation's most impressive environmental nonprofits with no tech background, they just got fed up. Something snapped. And we started getting phone calls, and all the other tech environmental nonprofits I know have started getting phone calls saying, what does it take for us to work together better? What does it take for us to start breaking down some of these walls where you guys worry about growing your budget and your organization, and we worry about ours? And instead, we focus on the fact that some of these impact numbers per user are crazy, and it makes no sense for a team of 11 kids who met at a hackathon to try, I'm flattering myself by calling myself a kid, 11 people, many of whom are students, who met at a hackathon. It makes no sense for you guys to worry about user acquisition on a national scale when we have millions of users who are saying, what can we do to make climate change stop? This has gone too far. And so we started working together in a way that, to my knowledge, is really new in the energy sector. Over the last 10 years, I haven't seen things like this. We got Environmental Defense Fund and Natural Resource Defense Council teaming up to propose to the state of California that this technology, which they did not invent and have no stake in, should be adopted universally. We got WattTime showing up to a policy meeting instead of lobbying the government, just answering questions. We handed the ball to PG&E, who wanted to see this technology grow. All they cared about is that they wanted a better cut. They wanted it to be a little bit more profitable for them. We didn't care about that. We were starting to see a kind of cooperation that I hadn't seen before. And about a year later, we're seeing results that I just did not see coming. It is likely that on January 1st, 2019, the entire energy storage industry in California, which is most of the energy storage industry in the world, is going to install this technology. It will be mandated by the state, but supported by these companies. It's not a done deal yet, but no one is actively opposing the deal, and we're working out the details. What this would mean is that the entire industry would flip from a net polluter to a net emissions reducer. This is a single software update that doesn't seem to have any negative consequences for them, and it would flip an entire industry overnight. You know if they do that, it's going to spread elsewhere. We're already seeing people in Massachusetts clamor for the same technology. We're starting to see wins like this across our entire field. So I think it's really cool at a conference where we're stepping back and looking at the impact across sectors to say, environment is going through a moment right now where things are a heck of a lot better than people realize. I just went to New England to try to visit a coal plant that we're trying to boycott. This technology uses windmills instead of coal plants. It was gone. WattTime is starting to pull out of Norway and Switzerland. There's no more pollution for us to eliminate. There is no more pollution for us to eliminate. We are 3 countries in to eliminating pollution from electricity. There are markets that we cannot help in anymore. California is 3 markets away from being next in line. About 20% of the time now, you flip a light switch in California, no pollution happens at all. We are getting really, really close to an end game in a field that I did not, in my entire life, think was going to have one. And what I'm seeing is that this deal only went through, this particular deal in California, just to pick that example, because WattTime and all of the other organizations there backed off from saying it needs to be our tech. This would never have worked if we wanted to have a proprietary sale. We as a nonprofit were able to say, you know what? We could be a company, we could sell this, have a nice little retirement package. We're just going to make this one free and open source because that's what it takes to get the job done. Now, it sounds like I'm one of the folks who says that open source is the solution to everything. I fiercely do not believe that. The difference is that at WattTime, we know that a tiny percentage of human beings don't agree with the vast majority of us that these problems need to stop. There's a small, small number of people who can make a lot of money by greenwashing, by faking their way to what looks like clean solutions but are really not. And so what we were able to do is all of the nonprofits and many of the companies were able to gang up on the small number of folks who were trying to push through a dishonest version and say, this isn't actually open source technology, this is mission source technology. It's going to be available to anybody who can pass a basic quality test that they agree with us on the goal here. It's available to 95% of companies in the market. There are a few that the vast majority of us have essentially ganged up on and said, if you want to join the club, you need to start meeting our quality standards. This is fundamentally different than open source because a small percentage of actors can ruin things for everybody. So what we're really seeing is that California was able to agree on a solution because the tiny number of people who were thinking about their own bottom line were able to be outmaneuvered. So I want to close by saying that this cooperation strategy has really become the root of everything we do at WattTime. We signed a crazy deal a year ago to be acquired using the same philosophy. So Rocky Mountain Institute is one of the most impressive NGOs by my standards that doesn't know anything about tech. They have a long history of enabling new technologies. We inked a deal with them to be acquired for a tiny, tiny fraction of what we would have earned if we had been a for-profit company in the market. But what we were able to do as a result is to suddenly have a distribution network where 90% of renewable energy transactions now have access to WattTime data. We can cause a 5x increase in the impact of renewable energy, especially in corporate buying space, through this data. And by accepting a small amount of money, we were able to make this available instantly to nearly the entire market. This kind of deal, I think, really promises to have a new kind of impact potential for every founder that I've heard today and every tech startup here that has an incredible technology and is trying to think, how the heck do I get this to 100 million people? I think what we learned is that by partnerships with other NGOs and sometimes governments, where you aren't thinking about the bottom line and you're remembering that my organization being competed out of existence by a group like Microsoft is a win, it allows us to sign deals that are new. So I guess my plea is for anyone in the room who is an early stage tech startup and is thinking about risk, user acquisition, back office, if there is a scenario where you could allow yourself to let go of your baby, if there's a scenario where you could imagine having a boss again, not getting a bunch of money for it, but suddenly having more impact as a result of that, let's talk. WattTime is making its unique deal with RMI, its unique form of causing this merger, available mission source. So assuming your mission is not something that is a horrible, horrible thing that would hurt lots of people, which I'm sure it isn't, we would love to show you some of our unusual tricks. Like we have a mission ombudsperson, which means that if RMI were ever to break away from our mission, or we were ever to break away from our mission, whoever violated the mission loses their rights to the IP, and the other one walks away with everything. This is a deal you would never sign as a for-profit company, but things like this are tricks that we figured out the hard way. And in a world where we are really in this together, I just wanted to say, if there's anyone who's thinking about that, let's talk. Thanks so much.